Goliath was a name spoken with a curse on the farm. He was a Charolais bull of immense size, a mountain of muscle and fury with horns that looked like polished daggers. He was unpredictable, territorial, and ferociously aggressive. He had charged the tractor twice and shattered a reinforced steel gate. The old farmer, Samuel, had a deep scar on his forearm from an encounter that was too close for comfort. His patience and his nerve had finally run out. "That's it," Samuel declared one evening, his voice heavy with grim finality. "He's too dangerous. I'm calling the butcher tomorrow." His wife nodded in sad agreement. There was no other choice. They couldn't risk their own safety or the safety of their other livestock for one malevolent animal. That night, a heavy feeling of dread settled over the farmhouse. It felt like an execution was pending. Samuel couldn't sleep. He kept picturing Goliath's eyes, black and filled with a rage he couldn't comprehend. Just after midnight, a sound from the field startled him. It wasn't the bellow of a bull or the lowing of a cow. It was the high-pitched, frantic bleating of a lamb, followed by the low, menacing growl of a predator. Coyotes. A pack must have gotten bold, slipping through a weak spot in the fence. Samuel's heart sank. He grabbed his heavy flashlight and a rifle, his mind racing. It was probably one of the new spring lambs, separated from its mother. It wouldn't stand a chance. As he ran towards the sound, the beam of his flashlight cut through the inky darkness, scanning the vast open field. The bleating was getting weaker, more desperate. And then, his light caught something that made him stop dead in his tracks. His blood ran cold. In the middle of the field, illuminated in a stark circle of light, was Goliath. But he wasn't charging. He wasn't raging. He was standing perfectly still, his massive body forming a living wall. His head was lowered, his formidable horns pointed outwards, and a low, rumbling growl, the one Samuel had just heard, emanated from his chest. And there, huddled between his powerful front legs, trembling but untouched, was a tiny lost lamb. Surrounding them, circling just beyond the reach of those deadly horns, were 3 coyotes. Their eyes glinted in the flashlight beam, their bodies low to the ground, thwarted and frustrated. They had cornered the lamb, an easy meal, only to find it protected by the most fearsome creature on the farm. Goliath, the aggressive, untamable bull, was not the threat. He was the guardian. Samuel stood frozen, unable to process the scene. The bull he was going to send to slaughter the next day was risking his own safety to protect the weakest, most vulnerable member of the herd. He wasn't a mindless beast of rage. He was a protector. His aggression wasn't random. It was directed at perceived threats. The tractor, the rattling gate, a man getting too close, he saw them all as dangers to his domain. But this tiny lamb? This was one of his own. With a newfound resolve, Samuel fired his rifle into the air. The crack echoed across the silent fields, and the coyotes, yelping in fear, scattered into the darkness. He slowly approached, half expecting Goliath to turn on him now that the immediate threat was gone. But the bull remained still, his deep-set eyes watching Samuel's every move. He didn't charge. He simply stood his ground, a silent sentinel, until the lamb's mother, drawn by the commotion, trotted over and anxiously nudged her baby. Only when the lamb was safely with its mother did Goliath relax. He let out a soft snort, almost a sigh of relief, and turned his massive head to look at Samuel. In that moment, the farmer didn't see a monster. He saw a king, a noble leader who understood his duty. The rage in his eyes was the burden of the protector. The next morning, Samuel didn't call the butcher. He called the fence company and ordered the strongest reinforcements they had. He walked out to the pasture and left a bale of the sweetest alfalfa near Goliath. The bull watched him, then slowly began to eat. From that day on, there was an unspoken understanding between the man and the beast. Samuel respected his space, and Goliath kept his watch. The farm had never been safer. Sometimes, what we perceive as uncontrollable aggression is simply the fierce, unwavering heart of a guardian.